All right, we are live. Mr. Franco, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm excited to be chatting with you.
Absolutely, man. It's my pleasure, bro. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome, man. So yeah, I've been sharing a little bit with the Different Hunger audience and network about you and your background. So you're obviously a very accomplished entrepreneur. You've built and scaled multiple companies.
Mhm.
You're a 2 Comma Club award winner. So I'm really excited to dive into your story, also into your expertise. And then we're also going to just dive into some of the, very specific tactics and strategies for
Love
people
it.
that are tuning in to go out there and get some business,
All
especially
right.
during a challenging time. How's that sound?
That sounds perfect, dude. Absolutely. I just want to be as much value as possible, man. So thank you for having me, dude.
Awesome, man. So yeah, let's back up a little bit. How did you get started as an entrepreneur?
Oh, dude, that's going way back, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I would say it was my dad has a trucking company, and so I'm actually still in it today. And so I was in that when I was like 16 years old. He went to like Venezuela and kind of left like a business I was running like $1 million into like a 17-year-old's hands. And I look kind of young now. I'm actually small, like in person, small
Yeah.
guy. So back then I was a lot smaller and I looked a lot younger. So it was funny because I had to really level up and you know, act above my age, if you will, and stuff like that. So that's kind of like what dipped my toes into the world of entrepreneurship. He gave me a book, threw it on my bed. He had never read it, but it was Rich Dad Poor Dad, and
Wow.
I'm pretty sure like most entrepreneurs have read that book, but that really stirred something in me. And so I was, I started building companies and like doing things like that. And then the trucking company, we went into it and it went like downhill, like during the 2008 recession and stuff. Really, really bad situation. And we had to let people go and everything like that. I ended up getting like a full time job for 3 years to kind of get us out of the debt that we had got into trying to keep that business alive. And then I said like, oh man, I do not like working for somebody else. So I said, I started thinking through like what other business models are there that are like easy to start up and stuff like that. And that's when I found Ty Lopez and social media marketing agency and that whole thing. And I thought that I would, yeah, I thought that I was a clever guy and resourceful, intelligent, competent. So I ended up quitting my job a little too soon, too fast. But then I had $18,000 saved up in my life savings and stuff like that with my wife and I and 2 kids and a mortgage and 2 car payments.
Wow.
So when I quit that job, I figured like, I'd be good. We have like a little cushion. I'd be able to make this thing work and like start up my business. And then I blew through that, not knowing, doing all the wrong things. I was doing cold calling, cold emailing, door to door selling, like all that stuff. And just rejection after rejection after rejection. And every single month, the money kept, like the savings just kept going down and down and down to the point
Ooh.
where I blew through in 4 months. I blew through those $18,000, didn't land a single client. And then I started having to live off of credit because I still wasn't willing to go back to a job. So we did that for a little while, and then I finally hired my coach Russell Brunson, and then literally a week later, doing exactly what he told me to do and utilizing organic marketing to do it. I made $84,000 in sales in 6 days after like
Wow.
jumping. Yeah, it was wild, and that was more than my entire annual salary the previous year, right? And it was just crazy. So it's like one of those things where so I jumped into that business and started doing that for like about what has been like 3.5 years now. And so that's how I kind of got into this space.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, that's quite an adventure.
Yeah, man.
Um, Geez. So you were pretty, you had a little bit of savings, right? But that burned out pretty quick, and then you were really kind of up against the wall, huh?
Bro, yes, dude. Crazy
So
financial anxiety.
totally. So I've been through that myself. I'm sure many people listening have been through that. Let's just talk a little bit about that, right? Like, how did you sort of deal with that, right? Because you're running out of savings, and then you're running up credit card debt. So you don't really have any. There's no guarantees that you're going to make anything happen. So how did you how were you able to
Bro,
persevere
yeah,
through that?
yeah, this is a great question. So it was like kind of a decision, right? Because like once you make the decision, it's a lot easier than if you think every single day, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Right?
Mm.
So if you
Yeah.
made the decision up front, and so that's kind of like what I did before I quit. What I decided to do was get, because my credit has been always good. I never made it like right now. My credit's like probably like 820, 850 or some like crazy thing like that, right? But
Yeah.
I had a lot of credit like when I was younger and all that stuff. So I built that up, and then I took out all these credit cards all at once in one single night. Remember, you got to prove, you got to prove, you got to prove 9,000, 10,000, 12,000, blah, blah, blah. And so I literally had about probably $70,000 worth of credit available.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting here, and we're working from home. So like we're in quarantine and stuff like that. So like my backdrop, I had to put something nice up instead of like a white wall. So I was literally here, literally we're in the spot that I'm looking at. And my wife and I were just sitting on our knees and just praying. And I told her, like, baby girl, like this, I just cannot, like, what I can't do is I can't go back to a job thinking for the rest of my life, what if? I know that we blew through the savings. I know that all that stuff. And I know this still hasn't worked out yet, but I would much rather go into $100,000 worth of credit card debt. And then if I hit that number, go back to a job and say to myself, like, and I will work that job, 9 to 5 or whatever it is until I'm 65 years old, knowing that I did it all and I just couldn't figure it out on my own, right? Instead of stopping now, jumping into that, and then saying, like, when I'm 65 years old, like, what if, right? Like, what if I didn't? You know what I mean? Like, what if I actually gave it my all? What if I just waited a little bit longer? So I set the time, I set the mark, and I said $100,000 worth of credit card debt. If we hit that and we, and I still can't get us, I still can't make it, I still, don't have anything like that, then I'll just go back to a job, and I'll just say, at least, Rusty, I left it all out on the mat and I just couldn't do it. Right. And we prayed about it, and she said, I trust you, baby. And then we made that decision, and that's how we started living on credit, man, until I figured this stuff out. And I said, if we're going to do that, then I'm going to invest in a coach to really help me, like, because I've tried everything on my own, and I put it on cards. And then literally 6 days later, bro, made those changes. And that's what happened. Haven't looked back since.
Wow, that's crazy. So at that point, your track record was you had basically you had sort of inherited a business that you were running. You had run up, I guess, debt on that business, and it was not successful. And then you had worked 3 years in a job. And so, again, there's really no indication that you're going to make this work, right?
Yeah, trust me, believe me, it was successful. It was successful.
Okay.
We were like making about $20,000 a week from one of our clients, just one of our clients. And then, but then that client went bankrupt for the most part. And we went from 20,000 from that client to like 5,000 overnight. And that's what caused the hemorrhaging of the money, because we were relying on the money for a decade. And so that's where everything started going downhill and stuff like that, because that was money that we were relying on. And just like went from, $80,000 a month from this client to, like 20,000 overnight. And that's what caused like all these different problems. So then we had to make a whole bunch of changes. I had to take a major pay cut. That's why I jumped into the job, but the business is still running, and it's actually still running to this day. We got out of that situation, and so we're still running. And so now that's a profitable business that's making good money too. So yeah, but no, you're right. You're absolutely right. Is that I had no, I tried to do this and I thought it was gonna be much easier, and it wasn't.
Damn. Yeah. I mean, I can totally relate to that as well. Like my first agency that, was somewhat successful. We went from like 40K a month to like 2 or 3K a month overnight. Basically, we had 2 big clients, and they just, ran out of budget, ran out of funding, and then boom. And like unfortunately, that's a very common story that I'm sure, people listening can probably relate to, right? So, I mean, first of all, that's great. And I mean, what was, like, before we dive into the monumental success, like, what was really driving you, right? Because like, what was the why behind your crazy idea that you're going to risk going into 100K debt to make this work? Like, help me understand that.
That's a great question, man. Because I ask that question myself a lot for people that I'm considering working with, and you really have to have a strong why, because the strong why is going to be the only thing that breaks through, that helps you break through those barriers that are always going to come up as an entrepreneur. And so there was, I mean, the thing was is that I wanted to be with my family. I wanted to be with my family more. I thought that God had more in store for me than literally. I felt like I was dying inside. They paid me way too much money for something a chimpanzee could do, right? Like literally just scanning, and I just felt like I was dying inside, and it was a trap. It was like that much money for this, and it was, and I was making $27 an hour, right? And for like literally just scanning boxes, opening it up with a knife, opening it up, checking it, verifying that the right stuff was in there, closing it back up, taping it back up, back on the line. I'm like $27 an hour for that. And in my thought process, I was like there's so much more in store for me. There's got to be so much more in store for me, you know. And then I made the jump, and I said, let's find out what that could be. And for me, it was just that drive on entrepreneurship, you know, financial freedom. I'm a very competitive guy, and I wanted to see if I can do it, you know. So yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So all right, so now let's talk about, you know, what, 80 something thousand in a few days after hiring Russell Brunson, right? So break down what happened, right? And, you know, what was the investment?
Yeah.
And what were the steps you took to just totally change your life?
Yeah, when I joined in, it was, I went, like, we didn't have money, bro. Like, we didn't have money at all, and I scrounged up some money to get the $1,000 ticket for Funnel Hacking Live, thinking that that would be the game changer, and it was. I went there, and I remember sitting in the audience, and he was pitching the year one of the Two Comma Club X coaching program. And I was sitting there, and as I was sitting there, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like Russell Brunson. I remember, like I was like a fanboy. You know what I mean? I was like, "Russell Brunson is pitching me right now." I texted my wife and I said, "Baby, like Russell's pitching me. There's nothing I can do. Like, what am I supposed to do?" And then she said, she texted me back. She's like, "How much is it?" Right? And then I was just waiting for him to get to the price. I was like, "Oh, please don't be $5,000 a month. Please don't be $5,000 a month. Please don't be $5,000 a month." And he told the price. It was like $18,000 if you pay up front, and then $22,000 you know, monthly if you do it the monthly option. So it was $1,800 a month. And I said $1,800 a month, and we didn't have that money, bro. Like that's an extra. That's like more than a mortgage. You know what I mean? Like, are you kidding me? Are we gonna do this? And then she texted me back and she said, "I trust you, baby," again. And then I was like, crap. And then I purchased it and jumped into it, and I just went hard, bro. That night I built a funnel and I did my Facebook Live videos, and then I slid into the DMs and started talking to people and messaging them, and then got on sales calls. And literally through that process, it took me 3 days to build a funnel and 3 days to field all the sales calls with people that went through that funnel, and close them on a $12,000 package, $1,000 a month. So it was $84,000 in contract sales. But I think it was like we had 10 sales calls and closed 7 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was crazy.
Awesome. And yeah, and so can you like break down a little bit more, like, so you're generating these calls through Facebook?
Oh yeah, totally. My entire business has been built off of Facebook. I can like literally go through the process of, like, you know, organic marketing, and I really honestly just want to be as much value as possible. So if your audience would love that, I can definitely do that. So, but yeah,
Awesome.
it was all Facebook.
Okay, beautiful. And so, got it. So you grabbed the like $1,800 a month coaching from Mr. Brunson. And then you started implementing right away because, you know, your back was up against the wall pretty tightly, right? And what's that?
I said money follows speed.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of my mentors told me that. Yeah.
Beautiful. And so what were you selling exactly for $12K a year, $1K a month, right?
Yeah, so the different variations of it, but pretty much it was coaching and done for you services as well. So our agency, right, did like done for you services and everything like that, and working with some coaches and helping them out in their stuff. But it was like a hybrid of coaching and done for you services.
Awesome. Okay, beautiful. And so yeah, for those of us listening, I mean, so we got a decent amount of people listening. Most of them are on Facebook. I think, I don't know the numbers, but billions of people have Facebook profiles. So those are billions of potential leads for your business. So could you share, a little bit of the secret sauce around how do you generate interest and leads and deals using your Facebook profile?
Oh, dude, yeah, that's my jam, man. That's everything that I did, and I fumbled my way through it. Okay, I like to say that I got to where I'm at on accident, right? Because you just try different things, and then once something works, like you just really dial it in, refine it, and then you like have a systematic, reliable way of generating clients on demand right off of Facebook, right? And it's just a mixture of all of those different things that you have to do in order to land the sale. Okay, so I can definitely like walk you guys through that. But one of the things I like to say is, like, if you picture, like, first of all, you might be driving to your work or something like that, and you pass by a billboard, right? And that billboard might have exactly what it is that you want, right? And the exact person that you want to work with, okay? That billboard could be just there, right? But it's on you to kind of take action and, call that person up, call the number, whatever it is you got to do, right? Whereas if you and I were to meet at a party, okay, and we were both invited to the same social party, right? And then I was just hanging out by the punch bowl, and you and I had struck up a conversation, and I said, Matt, what do you do? Where do you live? Blah, 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 all that stuff. And then you found out what it is that I did. And let's just say that you're a digital marketing agency owner trying to get your agency off the ground and scale. I would say, oh, well, I'm a coach for agency owners. I can probably help you do that, right? And we got to talking. You could either call that person up on the billboard and say, well, no, I kind of really want to, I like that billboard. I can probably like talk to that guy, or you're going to talk to me, right? And so who do you think you're going to talk to?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, me. Easy, right? Like everybody. Okay. Well, you take that same concept off from offline and you apply it online, and it works just the same way. The billboard will be like paid traffic, paid ads, Facebook ads that come up on your newsfeed, right? You still got to take the action. You got to jump on a sales call, like all from an ad, right? Whereas if you're in a Facebook group, and that's where the parties are, right? If you're in a Facebook group and you have your ideal customer avatars inside of that Facebook group, then you're going to make those connections. You're going to provide value to them. You're going to, like, people are going to get to know your name. You're like, oh man, this guy, I love when Matt comes over, because Matt comes over every single time that he pops his face in here, he's always providing value. Right. And so that's the mentality that so many people at the party know. Right. So, and every single time that you post something in a Facebook group, or you comment on somebody's Facebook post, or whatever the case is, you're like standing up with a microphone in front of hundreds of potential prospects and business owners, and you're saying, this is what I have to offer, right? This is the value that I have to offer. And you make enough of those emotional deposits, of those valuable deposits into their bank, and then you're going to be able to cash that check one day. Right. So what we do then is that's kind of the strategy I use. I just started providing value in Facebook groups and just started commenting. And like when somebody had a question, I would just go in and answer that question, and so on and so forth. But then I didn't realize this happened by accident. This is why I say I got here by accident. But people started messaging me randomly. They saw a post in my Facebook group, or they saw my comment, and then people would just reach out to me, send me a friend request, and reach out to me in Messenger. And then from there, I would just continue to provide them value. And then they said, hey, I know you're probably super busy and everything like that, but I was wondering if we could just jump on a call real quick. And then on the call, I just provided more value to them. And then I got them, and they really believed that I was like the expert at what it is that I had to offer. And then they wanted to work with me further. This all happened in reverse. People were reaching out to me. This is why I really call this concept attraction marketing, because when you do that and you push out content, what happens is people are attracted to you, right? Like, people want to work with people they know, like, and trust. And that doesn't happen if they don't know who you are. So that's why you're pushing out content and providing valuable pieces of information for your ideal prospects to be able to benefit from. And when that happens, they're going to be attracted to you like a magnet, right? And so I realized this stuff by accident. And then I said, well, let me do the opposite. What if I wanted to really like turbocharge this thing, right? So I actually started to go into Facebook groups, and I started to friend request people that I thought were my potential ideal customer avatar, because it made sense to me that when you start friend requesting people, if they accept it, what's happening? Facebook's algorithm is going to have my stuff, my content on my personal profile show up on your newsfeed. and you're addicted to Facebook just like everybody else, right? And so when you're scrolling in your newsfeed, these people are addicted to Facebook, right? And so what are they seeing? My content, stuff like that. So I can just as easily put up that billboard, except without paying for it, just by adding my ideal customer avatars onto my friends list, right? And that's pretty much the process. And then once they accepted my friend request, I would send them a welcome message. So instead of waiting for them to like reach out to me, I would automatically start the conversation up and just say something, relatively generic, a little bit tied into what's going on in the world, or a similar common denominator that we might share, like a Facebook group, for instance, that we're both a part of, and then start the conversation up. And that's when things started to, like really get out of hand for us. And we started to book more calls. And I realized that I would take people through the same exact conversations, right? I would literally say the same exact things to get them onto, my calendar link. And then from there, just take them to my sales script. And then, I started making a lot of sales. And that's pretty much been like the entire process of how I built my business. I don't run ads. So yeah, I just refined that process to a science. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And so, so when you're first like sharing content, right, and basically, like you said, getting up on the mic at the party, like, can you share some examples of like what type of information or value that you might be providing? Like, is it, is it an offer type post, or is it just straight value? Like,
great question.
Help me understand that a little bit more.
Great question, brother. And because so many people get this wrong, and so many people get themselves kicked out of groups so easily because, and you learned it the hard way, right? Because I do this, what's funny is that I started to put out this, like when I first saw it to work, like the first time I got a sale doing this process, I was like, wait a second, was that like a fluke, or can I like do it again, right? And then I put in another video, or I put another post, and what happened is like I got to do this process over and over and over again. And then I remember that was me finding out about Facebook groups. I was like, oh, look, there's these cool things Facebook groups. This is like a couple of years ago. And I remember going on an airplane, and I was like in the waiting room and stuff like that. And I was freaking out because I was like, oh my gosh, there's a group with 70,000 people in it that are my ideal customer. I was like, are you kidding me? And I was like, literally telling my wife, I was like, baby, we're rich. You know what I mean? Like, we're rich, all that stuff, right? And because all I'm going to be doing is providing value in there. And then these people are going to like love me and come to me, and like we're going to have all these conversations. I'm going to be making so much money and all that stuff, right? And so I do that, and then what happens? Spam, get that crap out of here, and all this stuff, and I end up getting booted from the group. Right? Because I do a very blatant self-promotion post, right? And so that's obviously the wrong way to do it, and that's what I had to learn the hard way. But really, no, what it really boils down to is when you stop thinking about yourself and start thinking about them, that's when you're on the right track. Okay, what is it that I can help them out? Okay, and then no call to action, no anything, no DM me, no check out my profile, no whatever the case is. Okay, they want real, because you can drop the same amount of value and have a call to action on it, or the same amount of value and to have no call to action. And I promise you, if you're doing it in somebody else's house, I promise you, you're going to get a million more responses on the one that has no call to action, pure value, than the one where you're telling them explicitly to hit you up or anything like that. No one's going to engage with that because everyone knows that what you're doing is crap. Okay, so do it without the value, and let people on their own check out your home. When you invite them into your home, then you can do whatever you want there. Okay, which essentially is your Facebook profile, right? The content on your own timeline. That's your home. That's when you can start selling whatever it is that you want to sell. Okay, but even then, you can become like spammy and nobody's going to be your friend if you really go a little bit more than 80-20 value to offer ratio. So the type of content that I'm putting in those groups, to answer your question, the type of content that I'm putting in those groups is whatever is going to, like, I should know if I want to position myself as an expert, I should know what the process is to help my clients go from A to B or A to Z, right? I should know that process. Everybody, doesn't matter what business, what industry, every single person in the world, every single entrepreneur in the world are going to hit hurdles. Every time you solve a problem, it produces new problems, okay? So if you know exactly how to solve each problem in the business, okay, and if you don't know it, you know some things, share what you know, Okay. And so I have like a secret like content hacking strategy and stuff like that that I pretty much use that helps me out a lot. I don't know if you want me to share that with the audience.
Oh, I do. But yeah, just really quick, I just want to like kind of recap for those listening.
Yeah.
Because maybe some of us are not hip to Facebook groups, although that's kind of crazy, but like for people that maybe aren't yet. So just adding straight value, no pitching, no promotions, really respecting the party and the owner of that group. Which I love because there's no sales pitch, right? It's just straight value, leading with value, and then from there, people will sort of self-filter, self-select to then navigate into your profile, right? So I love that, and you're sharing value and specifically like processes, solutions to solve their problems that they're going from A to B, right? So that's beautiful, and so. Now, please do share this secret recipe with us. Yeah,
for sure. Okay, so one of the concepts that changed everything for me, right? Because the biggest problem that most people have is like, okay, fine, Franco, I got you. You know what I mean? Like, you want me to push out content, you want me to provide value to these people, but like, what am I going to post? I don't have any value to offer or anything like that, right? Well, the reality is that everything you've ever learned in your life, you've learned from somebody else, whether that was a life experience, okay, and you learned it from life herself, or it was from somebody else who has had those life experiences, right? But everything you know and believe to be true has been learned. Okay. And so if that's the case, then every time that you share something with me, okay, I am going to filter it in my brain automatically. I'm not going to my brain automatically filters it. You have a different upbringing. You live in a different area. You have a different culture. You have a different everything than I do. And when you share something with somebody else, there can be 100 different people that receive that 100 different ways for their exact situation. Okay. And so pretty much nothing is new under the sun, right? Like everything, customer psychology is the same. Sales and marketing remains the same. It's different ways to say it and different analogies and stories to really drive home points. Okay. So I'm not saying anything different, even in my explanation of, like the party, the social party, and also the billboard example, right? I just maybe put it into a different perspective for people to understand and to really picture it, right? And I can come up with those all the time, right? It's just really understanding the point that you want to make, and then how are you going to drive home that point, right? And that's just the analogies and stories that you're going to use. So what I do is I spend an hour every single day, okay? What I talk about is called active learning, okay? This is literally a time block on my calendar where it's 1 hour where I'm learning from somebody else. Okay. I'm getting better at my craft. Okay. So my craft is agency, scaling agencies. I'm learning how to scale my agency from somebody else. I'm reading books. I'm learning my expertise about like who I serve and like what I'm doing for them. Right. About coaching. I'm learning how to be a better coach and so on and so forth. Okay. So I'm learning all these materials. And every single time that I have an epiphany, guess what? I write it down. Okay. That's all you have to do. That's the key secret. Okay. You have active learning, hour time block. Okay. And every single time that you have the epiphany, well, guess what? Once you have the epiphany, that's how you know that other people will too. Okay. And so we take those epiphanies and then we're sharing them, not verbatim. We're taking the point and we're saying, this is the point that I want to make. How do I create a new story, create a new analogy, create a new perspective on how to deliver that point effectively? So now every single time that you go on a live video, every single time that you do a Facebook story, every single time that you write a Facebook post or whatever the case is, people understand the point. They've heard it before, but they've never heard it said that way. And that's what makes all the difference. And so now every time you show up, you are a value bomb dropper. Because all you're dropping are epiphanies that people have that you had whenever you're receiving from people you're standing on the shoulders of giants. Yeah. And that's pretty much what I do.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So love it. So yeah, you're basically sharing your own discoveries, insights, just kind of being like a reporter almost. But like repurposing that epiphany into like different sort of stories, different metaphors that people can more easily understand.
Yep.
more or less.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And I love
Beautiful.
how you just said like reporter, because it's like, it's exactly true. And here's the thing is, it's human nature. It's like, you know, I can tell you, right? Like one of my mentors told me this, and then what will happen is you will still credit that to me because you heard it from me. So even though I heard it from somebody else or I read it somewhere, I can tell you that. But what happens is you will automatically credit to me, right? So if somebody, for instance, watching this video, it's just like, oh my goodness, that Franco guy dropped so much value, and that Franco guy was like so helpful and stuff like that. Like it really blew my mind about organic marketing, all that stuff, right? He's gonna leave with that impression that I made, okay? Even though everything that I talked about, pretty much I learned from other people. Right? Does that make sense? And the same thing happens for everybody. Okay. And that's how you grow your personal brand. That's how you get clients off of Facebook, all that stuff, because you're the guy that has already done the legwork for whoever it is that wants what you know or have to offer.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I really love that approach because, you know, I think like when I was coming up as an entrepreneur and, you know, probably around the same time as you, I felt like there were a lot of like gurus that were the authority figure, and they're just saying, you know, I've made this much amount of money, I've done this, and it's kind of like it positions you sort of against the person reading it. It's kind of like an ego battle, right?
Yeah.
But when you take the role of just documenting and sharing and say, oh, this is what I learned from this guy, and this is what I found here from this book, people have their guard goes way down, you know. And it's also, you know, you become a lot more relatable. And I really love that. And I just wanted to highlight that because I personally have found that the most attractive when I'm listening to different people. The people that are just building up their own ego, I'm like, all right, whatever. Like he's got some stuff going on. You know what I mean?
And you said that you hit the nail on the head, man. Like going back to that social party example, right? Remember when you're like sitting up there and you're like taking the mic? Just imagine like a comedian, right? A comedian goes up there and he says, hey man, you know, I'm the funniest guy in the whole wide world and stuff like that. I have like a show coming up. You guys all get a free ticket. You know what I mean? Like come to my show and stuff like that. Like here's a funny joke. Okay. You know, and then people laugh at it, and it says like after the thing, like, okay, guys, how many of us, you know, are going to come to my show and all those different things, right? Instead, take the mic, go up there and make us laugh, right? And make us laugh. And then afterwards, just drop the mic, you know what I mean? Do a mic drop and then walk off and then see how many people flock to you. That's the difference. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Awesome. And so, I mean, for anyone listening, you know, marketing, sales, like I've been telling people recently, like your ability to generate leads and generate sales, especially during right now, is going to determine whether or not you thrive or whether or not you just get crushed right now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Right. And so, I mean, is this a strategy that works for people that have no experience as well as people that have plenty of experience? Like, can you help us understand a little bit about that?
Totally. You know what I mean? Like I said, I fell into this by accident, and I had zero experience, and I kind of like, so the people, let's just say that somebody, like if I were me watching this interview and I was lucky enough to have watched this interview back then, I would have avoided so many like difficult components.
Totally.
That I didn't realize I had to just like, you know, kind of fumble my way through. But now it's even easier to do and stuff like that. And I actually, you know, like if you don't mind me sharing, I actually created that software, you know,
Totally.
that kind of automates the entire process. So what happened was, is this just because here's the difference, right? Like you either have time or money. Most people, everybody like wants true financial freedom, and that is like both time and money freedom, right? You want to have the money, but you also want to have the time to be able to do that with that money, whatever you please, right? And that's where most people want to get to. I call it the time money spectrum. That's on the far right, okay? But on the far left, you're on the wrong side of the spectrum, which is like you don't have money and you don't even have time to make money if you wanted to, right? But in the middle is where most Americans and like people around the world like lie. It's like either if you have money, okay, then you're probably scarce on time. Okay. And if you have time, that means that you probably have a good amount of, or you probably don't have enough money, right? Like if you have time, then you don't have money. If you have money, then you don't have time, right? And everybody's trying to get to that right side of the spectrum where they have true financial freedom. So I bring that up is because of this, is that like, if you don't have any time whatsoever to do organic marketing, okay, then maybe paid ads is the best for you, okay, because you're leveraging money to work for you instead of your time, okay? But most people that are starting up their business, okay, they don't have the money that they need to test their offer, test their sales messaging, see if it converts, see if the funnel converts, see if anybody's going to show up to the calls, and see if all that stuff. That can get very expensive very, very quickly. And if you don't have a good amount of capital to kind of like test that utilizing paid ads, then organic marketing is where you need to start. It's the easiest way to test your offer, leverage the time that you have on your hands, test your offer, test your sales messaging, see if you can get some clients, and then scale from there. I still haven't switched to this day. We're about to hit 7 figures in our business this year, and I still haven't switched to paid ads at all. It's all been organic. But it was time consuming. It is time consuming. Okay. But is it worth it? Absolutely, it was worth it. Okay. Happily, it was easily worth it. Okay. And I would much rather do this than anything else I had ever done in my life. Okay. But I still figured, I don't know if this was being greedy or not, but I think a lot of people are happy about it. But I figured to myself, I was like, well, I don't want it to take this much time. Like, is there some part of this that we can automate? You know what I mean? Like, is there something out there in the world that can make this easier, make this process easier? And there wasn't. And then I said, okay, well, I like to think out of the box. So I was like, well, can I create it? And I could. I talked to the right people and they said, okay, you know what? That might be possible. And that's how Pepper was born. Okay. So Pepper was never born with the intention of selling it. I literally had the idea, and why we call it Pepper is because like I had a virtual assistant that was my executive assistant that was in my messenger doing all of the work manually. And she would spend hours. It started to be to the point where she spent 4, 5, 6 hours every single day doing the stuff that I used to do, but I couldn't put her on any other projects because she was just doing this all day long. And it was still worth it. You know what I mean? So revenue generating activities.
Right.
But so I created Pepper because of Pepper Potts, Tony Stark's Iron Man's executive assistant, right? I said, like, the best executive assistant in the world, right? That just takes care of everything. You don't have to worry about it. You can run your entire business like entrepreneur, like Tony Stark. Like that's why I came up with it. And so I created it and I said, like, this is everything that I want to do. And we were able to do it. Do you mind if I talk people through a little bit of the process of?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
and if you could, I'd love to just kind of also hear like how much time or how many messages, how many posts per day you recommend sort of starting and ramping up from. But please take it away. For sure.
You want to jump into that real quick? Actually, let me just say this and then we'll just remind me about that question. So when we so I thought through the process of like, okay, cool. Everything that we had just mentioned today, jumping into Facebook groups, finding your ideal customer avatar in those correct Facebook groups. Okay, cool. That's check. And then jumping into those groups and then becoming friends with those people. Okay. And then sending them out a welcome message. Okay. And then managing the conversation inside of Messenger to lead them to a sales call. And then booking, selling them on whatever product or service you have to offer on the sales call, right? So that was the process. And I said, okay, cool. What parts of these are troublesome? What parts of these can I actually automate, right? And what I ended up having to do forever was going in there, manually clicking add friend, add friend, add friend, add friend, add friend, and then checking my notifications. This person accepted your friend request. This person accepted your friend request. Okay, cool. Check the notifications. This person accepted my friend request. Send them out a welcome message. Start the conversation. Say hi to them, right? And then they actually responded. So now I had to go inside of a Messenger and I had to keep up with all those conversations that were going on in Messenger. And Messenger is messy. It's near to impossible to manage that, especially if you have more than 100 conversations going at a time. Okay. I probably had close to 1,000 conversations going in my Messenger and stuff like that. Right. But it's really, really hard. And then people don't, you don't get back to people and everything like that. And then you're like feeling a certain way, all that stuff. So it's hard to manage, right? Just on its own. And then, so what we ended up having to do is utilize a different CRM system, customer relationship management tool, to literally take the URL of each individual messenger conversation we were having, because it's all custom URL, put them into this card and see and manually move them along the sales process in our customer relationship management tool. But Messenger is fast. You're talking to people, you know what I mean? And first, in like 1 minute, he can become a prospect. In the next 3 minutes, you can have sent him a link and you probably have booked the call already, right? How are you going to update the sales process like that? It's just impossible, right? So that was everything that was happening. And then I realized that I was sending all these same keywords and phrases in messenger conversations to like all the same people. And I had this so dialed in that I literally had sticky notes on my desktop that I would literally copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste, maybe type, maybe edit something a little bit, paste, and then send it out, right? And that was the entire process. And I said, okay, cool, we got to do this. So what Pepper does now is that she goes into the Facebook groups that you are a part of, right? And then in the members area, she's automatically adding friends based off of the keywords that they self-identify with. So if somebody calls himself a founder, somebody calls himself a coach or a consultant or a broker or a real estate agent, or however they self-identify with, when that happens, Pepper will automatically send them out a friend request based off of the keywords that you choose. Okay, so that's the first part of it. Okay, then you can have it actually send out an automated welcome message. Okay, and that welcome message could be anything that you say that you wanted to say with their first name. So it'll say, "Hey Dan, I noticed that we're a part of the same few groups together. How's your business going with everything that's going on in the world right now?" Right? You might send out something like that, and it'll say the same message based off of the keyword to Pam and Jim and Adam and Liz and so on and so forth. Okay, that same keyword message template, right? And then people get that from your profile. They have zero idea that it's a bot, and they will respond to you. So you let Pepper run like that. You wake up in the morning, like you just go to sleep and you wake up in the morning, and there's like 18 people in your messenger have responded to you and waiting to hear back from you. And then we created your messenger. We turned your messenger into our CRM system, so you can actually tag people and you can see exactly where they are in your sales process, and it's color coded where you can write notes in there. And then the next part of it is, because there's 3 tiers to Pepper, the next part of it is canned responses. So you can have your messenger framework instead of the sticky notes that we were doing and copying and pasting, literally with a click of a button, it'll automatically input your messages into the user field, and then you can edit them as you wish and then send it out. So it's crazy helpful. It's literally taking what I created in like a horse and carriage. Okay. It's like you still need a pilot for Pepper, right? You still need a pilot, but it's like going from like a horse and carriage to like a jet plane, right? You still need the pilot, but now you're going to go a whole lot farther, a whole lot faster. Right. So that's kind of like what we ended up building, that we're offering to people now.
Yeah, that's awesome. So beautiful. So basically, one, it goes out, it finds the targeted people that you're looking to speak with.
Yep.
And then it sends them a welcome message, and then you can tag them depending on where they're at in the conversation. Yep. And then based on that, you can send them pre-written templates, canned responses, those kinds of things to save you probably hours and hours.
Still customize that you can still customize before you send it out, which is key because conversations are different. You know what I mean? But at least the like everything's in there. And sometimes you just hit send and it's perfectly fine. But other times you might want to add a couple emojis. You might want to change something, and you're able to send that out too. Yeah, right. Absolutely. That's exactly right.
Beautiful.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. Well, I've had experience with these types of tools, and so I know the value and the amazing benefits of them. For those of us that maybe haven't tried them before, that maybe are saying, okay, automated messaging, like how do you structure the message in a way that is still personalized, and it's not, it doesn't seem at all like a automated kind of spammy potential message, right? Like, how do we make sure that we're actually, still adding value while also creating an opportunity to generate some business.
Yeah, and so here's the deal is that like there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it, right? So the wrong way to do it is to send them out like 17 paragraphs and a link at the bottom, right? Like you obviously don't want to do that. Like what I usually do is just ask a quick question about like, hey, I noticed something. Either we're in the same few groups together. I noticed that you were a real estate agent, and then ask them something pertinent to their business. Okay, ask them if they are a real estate agent. Ask them if they know a specific group, or ask them if they, like if their business is shut down because of the coronavirus right now, or whatever the case is, and tying it into something where it's easy for them to respond to and answer. And usually what I like to do is either or questions. Okay, so physical. Personal trainers, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I noticed that we're in a few of the same fitness groups together. Are you a health and wellness coach, or are you a gym owner? And it's easy for them to respond to that, and you're going to increase your response rate, and then you just take it from there. Yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. And so you're still not pitching anybody, right?
Oh, no, we don't do that until further along.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is great. Cause I think that's where a lot of people mess things up, is when they're just like sending out, hey, I'm this person, this is what I do, book a call. It's like, no, right? So you're still like, the sole purpose is not to get a sale, it's to open up a conversation, pretty much, right?
Absolutely, because that's what it's about. That's you inviting them over to the punch bowl to have a drink. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And yeah, that's great. And so, I mean, what type of how much time, how many messages do you recommend like sending out? You said you're about to hit 7 figures. Obviously you're a 2 Comma Club award winner, which means you've already hit 7 figures with a previous business. Help people understand an idea of like what those projections or those numbers look like to start generating some conversations and calls.
For sure, absolutely. And it varies between every niche and every business owner. So I can only speak to what I know. But I want to make one clarification point, because I'm just to make sure that. So I do have the 2 Comma Club award, and that was on my agency side, helping one of my clients hit 7 figures in their business through a funnel that we built for them. And so I just want to make that clarification point. But we should be hitting either 1 or 2 Comma Club awards this year, hopefully. So we'll see. You know what I mean? But yeah, I just want to make a clarification point. But yes,
thank you for
we
that.
have internal limitations built into Pepper, because my Facebook, again, I grew my entire business off of Facebook, right? And so because of that, like I would hate to get banned, right? Like hate my profile to get banned, and it's very like, it would just suck really hardcore if that happened, right? So I knew that if we were going to automate this thing, I knew it needed to be in a way that, Facebook couldn't see or fly completely under the radar and everything like that, because I need to keep my business safe. Remember, I was building it for myself, not for anybody else. So what we did was we installed these internal limitations where she can only send out a specific number of friend requests every so often, right? And a limited amount of friend requests per day, okay? Same thing with the welcome messages. Okay, there's a randomized timer inside of her where it'll send out. It has to wait 7 minutes, and once it sends out one welcome message, it waits 7 minutes at least, and then it does the randomized timer again to determine who in the queue she needs to send out a message to next. Okay, so these internal limitations, we've used it since October, and it's never given us a problem. We've never had anybody on our user database ever experience a problem with their Facebook getting flagged or anything like that as a result of Pepper. The reason why is because Pepper is a Chrome extension that lives on your browser, and there's literally no way for Facebook to see that a bot is doing anything on your behalf. It is just that the only way that it can trigger it is if it behaves like a bot. But Pepper behaves slower than humans would. Right. And so that's why literally humans are being, banned and blocked from their profiles, is because they're using it in a way that Facebook is like, whoa, slow down. You shouldn't be using Facebook in this way. Right. And that's where it's going to put the limitations on you, and you go into Facebook jail, is because you're doing things that it doesn't like. Pepper will never do things it doesn't like, or maybe she will, but won't get caught because it'll behave slower than a human, which is still so much more valuable than you waiting 30 seconds or 10 seconds before, like, okay, friend request. Okay, let me wait 10 seconds and then another friend request and then wait 10 seconds and so on and so forth, right? So that's how she tracks all her numbers and everything like that. So does that answer that question?
Yeah, absolutely. So totally. Well, that's awesome, right? And so for people listening, like Patrick just mentioned, what's the name of the software? So it's Pepper, right? And
yeah, so if anybody has any questions whatsoever, we're here. I think we're here for like another like 5-10 minutes or so. So if anybody has any questions in the comments below about anything organic marketing or the software or anything like that, I'll answer those questions. We can go ahead and field those questions. But Matt, we have a very strong affiliate program, and I know that you have your affiliate link that you can probably drop or update the description or comment. So maybe like we'll just say like if anybody wants Pepper or wants to check her out, stuff like that, just comment Pepper or hashtag Pepper down below, and then Matt will send you over a link to be able to check out the sales page and everything like that to see her in action and see like a demo video.
Yeah, beautiful. And so I have the link and I can share it with people. And also, like Franco mentioned, I'm an affiliate. So if you do end up joining, I will get a little bit of a commission. And for anyone listening that is interested in potentially reselling this or using it for clients, you have a really awesome affiliate program set up. So definitely get in touch about that. And, as you said,
Go ahead.
But yeah, clearly you've been very careful and methodical and have built this in a way that it's not going to jeopardize anybody's profile, which is great. So, and everybody that signs up, do they get access to that trial or no?
Yeah, it's actually a 14-day free trial. The reason we did a 14-day free trial is because, first of all, like I don't want to take your money if it's not working for you or you don't need it for your services, right? But I know that if you're the right person and you can find your clients on Facebook, right? Yeah. And like you started the conversation off, like 4 billion people on Facebook or whatever it is. Like if you can find your clients on Facebook out of those 4 billion people that are not in a third world country or something like that, if you can do that, then you can make money utilizing Pepper, right? And right now we have a very strong affiliate program where the first 100 Pepper users, and I think we're in like the 80s or something like that, but the first 100 Pepper users will actually get 50% affiliate commissions for, as long as they remain a customer. Awesome. So that just means like 2 people cover your costs and everything like that. And it's really, really awesome. So again, that's only for the first 100 Pepper users, and then we'll restructure the affiliate program. But for right now, people can get locked in and stuff like that. So if you go sign up, if you hashtag Pepper, Matt's going to hook you up. And but it's one of those things like where it's a 14-day free trial, because I know that if you can find your clients on Facebook and you can actually utilize this, you can make a lot of money. It pays for itself like one time over, like, or 100 times over, right? One client, one high ticket client or something like that, like literally take care of it for the next 3 or 4 or 5 years. So that's the one thing. The other thing is, I know people will fall in love with it, right? So like I know that it's literally the best on the planet right now, and it's just like when you go in there and you're testing it out for yourself and you're adding those tags and you're doing the messenger framework and you're doing all this stuff and you're seeing her add your ideal customer avatars and start those conversations for you, it's just gonna be like crazy. Like literally today, I have somebody I'm paying a lot of money to, 45 hours a week. 45 hours a week. All he does is manage my messenger. And because I have so many conversations, because Pepper keeps us busy, and he's just booking calls. It would cost me $5,000, $10,000 to book up our calendar the way he's able to utilizing Pepper. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, just because I've been using it for like a few days now, and just being able to like put your messages into different templates and based on the different stage of the process, the sales process that the leads are in, is really valuable to help you understand your messaging better and better, right? Because some people, I mean, I would say most people, they don't have a very clearly defined process from top of funnel to bottom of the funnel. Yeah. And so Pepper, you can actually build that into the messaging, which is really, really helpful for really testing and optimizing and refining that message. So the more people you reach out to, the better and better your results.
100%. Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly right.
Awesome.
So,
Sweet. Well, yeah, guys, if you do have any questions for Franco, we still have a few minutes left, so please go ahead and drop them for him. But yeah, guys, and also please show some love to Franco. I really do appreciate your time and sharing so much wisdom with us. So guys, please do comment, like, share so that more people can get access to this. Because again, you know, people need to understand how to go out, generate new leads, generate new business. You know, obviously, I'm assuming everyone listening is doing great work. They work with integrity. They're not just, you know, pushing half-assed products or services.
Yeah.
But that's a given, right?
Yeah.
But marketing and sales, right? Like I was talking with my buddy Tyler yesterday. Like I think it's 1 in 3 creators or creatives struggle with sales and marketing, right? And so sales and marketing is everything right now
100%.
to really build your pipeline up. So, so thank you, Franco, for sharing so much wisdom with us. And let's see if we do have any comments coming through. But yeah, is there anything else? Matt Dixon says, thanks a lot. Very interesting to listen. Thank you, Matt.
Hey, Matt, what's going on, brother? That's
cool. Sorry, Franco, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, like, you know, I know that we covered high level, you know, the entire process of organic marketing, stuff like that. It is so good to actually jump into this and organic marketing, stuff like that. It's like so powerful to do. And I really think that if people, you know, utilize like some of the key tactics and strategies that we talked about in today's interview, can really make a difference in their business. Like literally, honestly, this is a systematic, reliable way of generating clients on demand right off of Facebook. You know what I mean? And like, that's what people need to know is that your business, you don't have a business unless you have a systematic, reliable way of generating clients on demand. And this is literally handing it over to you on a silver platter. You just gotta implement now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's crazy. How many marketing agencies don't even do their own marketing, right?
No joke.
Yeah, it's funny, but you're totally right. I mean, you can only rely on referrals for so long. I mean, some people, you know, can get by on it, but most people just, they can't stand how inconsistent it is, right?
Yeah.
So Rachel has a quick question. Do you pay for any Facebook ads?
Currently, no, Rachel. The only thing that I would ever probably consider doing for paid ads is probably to grow my Facebook group, just for the fact that I can utilize organic marketing and utilize Pepper like for that. But it's the difference. Like this is how I would say that. Remember that analogy that we used about the billboard and then the party and stuff like that, right? How much more powerful would it be if when you came to the punch bowl, I was the guy you saw on the billboard, right? That's the only thing. That's what I want, is utilizing the billboard to leverage brand awareness, and then, but not for the call to action. I'm not going to make the sale off the billboard. It's going to really strengthen and make it easier for me to make the sale at the punch bowl.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's a really important point to make, because a lot of people, I think, mistakenly believe that if they want to start working online, they want to start getting clients online, they have to start spending money on ads, which is just
not true.
Not the case at all, right? Like you're proof of that. Yeah.
It used to be the case, but not anymore.
Totally. Yeah. So I would, I mean, we spent quite a bit of money last year on Facebook, but before that, you know, we had built a multiple 6-figure business with 0 ads. And I, you know, even 10, 20, 40, 50K a month, you can do that completely organically. And I absolutely recommend that, because it can get a little bit hectic when you're spending, you know, a few $1,000s a day on Facebook, and even a few $100s a day. So definitely lean towards organic. And, you know, Pepper starts at $100 a month. So anybody listening that's selling services, that's going to pay for itself 10 times over with one client if you're charging $1,000 plus. So it's a no-brainer.
It is. I tried to make it that way. Just an absolute no-brainer offer and stuff like that. And for what it does, and like, you know, giving you the ability to just get clients quickly, it's just, there's nothing like it.
Beautiful.
So
awesome, man. Well, Franco, how can anybody listening that wants to learn more, show up to your party, get to know you a bit more? Where can we do that?
Well, first and foremost, send me a friend request. Franco Urbaez, exactly how it's spelled. Am I pointing at it?
Yeah.
Exactly how it's spelled right there. So hit me up on Facebook. Go ahead and send me a friend request, and then on my cover photo, on my profile picture, on my featured photo, there's a group that I have called Big Dreamers Digital Marketing Secrets. Just recently transferred to Digital Marketing Agency Secrets, but I'm showing you all the behind the tricks. You know what I mean? Like going really, really deep on some of the key concepts and strategies that you heard on today's interview. And I go deep on there. I go live and I share my screen and show you literally what I'm doing behind the scenes to help you, get clients and get results. Because ultimately, it's especially if you're an agency or aspiring entrepreneur looking to start up a business or looking to start up an agency, whatever the case is, it's my goal and desire to help you really scale to $30,000 a month, past your $30,000 a month, and so on and so forth. But if you just need your first few high-paying clients, I have a ton of resources and trainings and everything like that for you to get your high-paying clients very quickly.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing so much value with us. It's been a pleasure for me. I've learned a lot. Obviously, people are enjoying it based on the comments. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Franco, for sharing your wisdom. And of course, please drop us a like, a comment, a share, spread some love for Franco.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you for jumping on, bro.
Of course. Thank you, brother. I appreciate being here. Thank you very much. I'll see you, buddy.
All right, man.
Bye.
Peace.